So Sony is rebooting their universe again, and so I want to sit here and have this dialogue about what I want from Sony's universe and how they can have a universe and as well have Spider-Man in the MCU. And I'm just saying this for a gig. I'm cut to the chase right now. I'm just saying this. If Sony wants to steal this idea, please do, because I've been saying it. I've been documenting their failures for the past few months now. You go back to my Madam Web video. One of some of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and I'm just happy and thankful that I didn't see these. I didn't pay money to see these movies, okay? Because how garbage they were. But if Sony is hell bent on driving the Spider-Man IP into the ground, into the dumpster, I want them to do one thing, okay? Do what they do with Spider-Man Noir, okay? If you're gonna have another Spider-Man, if you're gonna have their own universe, have their own Spider-Man. That's all we're asking for. Have your own Spider-Man. Have Tom Holland's Spider-Man be in the MCU and have him have access to all his villains, okay? So the MCU can have their own version of villains that they want to use, right? And don't have to worry about the multiversal thingamajig, right? You know, worry about all that, right? What they should do, but we can have a multiverse. I will get to that point too, because I know Sony wants to do the big crossover films with Tom Holland and stuff like that, right? There is ways to do that while also keeping it separate from the Sonyverse, right? I am begging and I am pleading, okay? What Sony needs to do is have a Spider-Man 2099 universe. I'm telling you, let me cook. Because you can have your own Spider-Man, okay? Miguel O'Hara is now popular because of the Spider-Verse films, right? Outside of the people who know about Spider-Man 2099, right? The big fans like I am, whatever, right? You have a own Spider-Man 2099 universe, right? The first film could be the new Spider-Man, him in the futuristic world. And you know what's crazy? Spider-Man 2099 has source material, but you can take liberties because it's not as much tapped in as the other Spider-Mans, right? Yes, Spider-Man 2099 has his own rogues gallery and his own set of powers and abilities, right? But you can still have it where there's a 2099 version of certain Marvel heroes. And if there's a collaboration, you can have it where there's Punisher 2099. There's you know, Thor 29, you know, all these different characters that appear in the future, whatever, right? You can have that in this universe, but it's all in 2099, okay? And if Marvel don't want to give them the characters, which rightfully so, because Sony's been fucking them over for a long time, I understand that. Even still, in this own box, you could have it where Spider-Man 2099, you can build up to the Sinister Six or whatever, right? You can have these future villains that you want to establish that will give people the freedom to do something different with the Spider-Man villains. Because this will be the 4th or 5th time certain villains are being used, and people are tired of seeing, you know, certain villains. If there's another Green Goblin, if there's another, you know, Doc Ock, after we just seen some a few years ago, it's like, bro, I don't care anymore, okay? You're gonna run these to the ground eventually, okay? So have your own spin, futuristic version. You can have Hobgoblin, whatever you want to do. Just put it in the future, far away from modern day Spider-Man in the MCU, right? And so you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what about the big, you know, Sony wants to do a big crossover movie, right? You can have it where the big ensemble film is a Spider-Man Sinister Six in 2099. That could be the big thing, right? But let's say you want to go big and brass. Let's say you want to build it to a big, huge crossover. You want to have Tom Holland while he's still in his prime and still doing Spider-Man to cross over. All you need to do is have a Spider-Man Edge of Time movie. That's all you need. That's all you need. And you can have the 2099 Spider-Man and the modern day Tom Holland Spider-Man interacting. You can have it where they cross over because the villain from the past or the future is messing with time, and you have a timey-wimey movie that is small in effect in terms of it just involves these characters, okay? The beautiful thing about the game is you don't need other characters to show up. You don't need Thor to show up. You don't need Iron Man to show up, because this is a Spider-Man-centric story that deals with future stuff, and also they interact, and it makes sense. And let's say that's successful, right? Let's say you do the Edge of Time. It's amazing. You do the fake out where Spider-Man dies. Or if you want to go, let's say you want to go all out, right? Let's say you want to do a Spider-Man Edge of Time, right? And the whole story of the game is, okay, Miguel O'Hara sees a future timeline, or like it shows a future scene of Spider-Man dying, right? You can have it where this is Miles where he gets introduced, where you already established Miles in the MCU, and in this event, Peter Parker dies. Like, this is it. Like, he legit dies in this, unlike the game, right? He dies, Then you can have the whole thing where, okay, now when we're back in the MCU, how does Miles become Spider-Man? You know what I mean? There's pathways to do this. You don't have to go exactly one-to-one like the game or one-to-one like any other comic books or whatever, right? You can have where that's Peter Parker's swan song. You know what I mean? He saves MJ or whatever, or he stops a future apocalypse from happening, but he ends up dying to a future version of Venom, right? You can have this whole thing happen. Sony can literally have his cake and eat it too, and they refuse to do it because Sony loves making boneheaded, stupid decisions. Trust me, because I'm a gamer, and they do it non-stop. They like shooting themselves in the foot, right? Okay, let's say if they do or don't do that, right? Let's say, okay, you do this Edge of Time thing, and they want to continue making Spider-Man franchise. Like, it's successful, everyone loves the 2099 universe. Where do you go from there? After you do that, you can do another build-up, and you can do Shattered Dimensions, where there's multiple versions of Spider-Man. Yes, they already did in No Way Home, but this would be cool where you could have Miles interact with Miguel. Then you can have Miguel interact with Spider-Man Noir, if you know, Nicolas Cage is still not going to do it, but, you know, or have him just voice the character. He doesn't have to physically suit up or whatever, right? Or you could have, like, another version of Peter Parker there. You know what I mean? Like, you could have so many different things. Obviously, this is just ripping off the games or whatever, where it's like, okay, then you could bring the Madam Web, a actual old version of Madam Web, and be like, okay, I'm bringing you these Spider-Men together because some of y'all have connections or whatever, but we need to stop this magic stuff from messing with alternate realities and stuff like that, blah, 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 right? And it'd be even perfect if it's Miles, because he doesn't have any, at this point in time, because Spider-Man would have already had the Avengers and stuff like that, and all the different things with Doomsday and stuff like that under his belt. You can have it where he's the veteran of the team, if it's Peter Parker that survives. Or if Miles dies, it's like, okay, he's a new Spider-Man on the block, he is competent in what he's doing, but no one knows what to do, basically, outside of Madam Web guiding everyone, you know what I mean? And then you can have a live-action version of Into the Spider-Verse. Not actually a live-action version, but in terms of you could have the story where Miles is like, he doesn't feel like he is worthy to be Spider-Man. He's not, you know, this and the third. And it could be a nice reversal of Miguel telling him, hey, he trusts and believes in you. I worked with Peter Parker in the past before he died. I feel guilty for him dying, and I know he would believe in you, blah, 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 blah. And then Miles starts believing himself, and he saves the multiverse or whatever. Again, you know, I think there's things you can do. There are so many different routes you can go. If you go this route of, hey, let's not touch Peter Parker, Spider-Man, right? Let's not touch MCU Spider-Man. Let MCU, Marvel do whatever they want to do with the characters. I honestly say, rewrite the deal to give them full reign, but they can't touch the 2099 stuff. If they want to touch future stuff, the only future stuff they can touch is like the Old Man Logan type of future, where it's desolate, or, you know, different stuff like that, where it's like, okay, if you do future films that movies take place far in the future, y'all only can do these type of versions. Let us have access to the 2099 version or whatever. Or if you want, you could do a massive Avengers 2099 crossover or whatever. I think it'd be dope. You know what I mean? I truly believe that there is so much potential with the Spider-Man universe, but Sony is so close-minded. Whereas, like, all this, like, if you literally sat down, if the head of Sony gave me, like, yo, we want to make a universe, and I really want to do something different that sets us apart from the MCU, that we have our own thing, that we can market it, that people won't get confused by, just have a Spider-Man 2099 universe. I think that'd be brilliant. I think there's so much stuff you could do. And me thinking about it is getting me excited, because it's like, yo, like a live action Miguel O'Hara versus, you know, a future version of Hobgoblin, you know what I mean? And it's like different things. You could have like their version of Batman Beyond type thing, where it's like, okay, super futuristic, you know, neon lights and all that stuff like that. It gets me giddy. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think. I think Sony's gonna ruin this thing, by the way. If we're going back to the subject of Sony rebooting this thing, they're gonna ruin it again. They're gonna learn their wrong lessons from this. They're gonna try to have their own version of these villains tie into the MCU. The MCU doesn't want anything to do with those villains, and then they're gonna fail again. That's what I truly believe is gonna happen, because Sony does not learn. You can sit there and tell them over and over again how we don't want these types of movies, but they have the IP and they're gonna use it. They're like, no, we know better. And so when it bombs over and over and over again, and people get sick of the Spider-Man IP because of Sony, then they're probably going to sell it back to Marvel when no one cares about it. It'd be like, well, we could do anything about it, so here you go. It's typical corporate BS, you know what I mean? It's the same person. In the CEO who runs Sony now used to run Fox. Like, have no faith in Sony at all, because they're incompetent, to say the least. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all think about my idea, a 2099 universe, set in the future away from the MCU. If y'all like it, let me know. If not, let me know what y'all thoughts, and I'm out. Peace.